Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Eye Openers, the monthly video blog for North Shore Eye Health and Wellness. This month I wanted to start a topic about nearsightedness or myopia. We'll be talking about this over the next few months. There's some really neat things going on in the field of correction for nearsightedness, and would like to share some of those topics with you and introduce some of the things we're doing here at the clinic to help in this emerging epidemic. Wait a minute, you said nearsightedness, right? Don't you just prescribe glasses for that? And the answer is yes, that's a simple way of correcting nearsightedness, but what we're learning and seeing in the topic of nearsightedness is that the condition is growing at an extremely fast rate. Right now in the United States, about 40% of the population is nearsightedness. This is doubled since the 60s. And by the year 2050, worldwide, 50%, 1 in 2 people, will be nearsighted. The other thing that we're seeing in this condition is the level of nearsightedness is getting much greater. The numbers, if you will, minus numbers for nearsightedness are getting much higher, and that is problematic. Well, why is that problematic? Well, a nearsighted eye, what we call myopia, is an eye that's elongated, it's stretched out, and as it stretches out, the focal point where light is bent on the retina is in front of that retinal tissue. So we have to give nearsighted lenses, minus power lenses, to put the focal point back on the retina. For years and years and years, we would just prescribe glasses or contacts. Come in for your annual eye exam, you get a new prescription, oh, your eyes have changed. For me, I'm the classic example. You know, when I started wearing glasses, I was a minus 0.5. I didn't have to wear them very often. By the time I was in college, I was a minus 550. Today, I'm a minus 650. This is a perfect highlight of what we call adolescent myopia. Usually that starts around the age of 12. We get our first pair of glasses. It's a small prescription. We don't have to wear it all the time. And then as we get older, our eyes will grow and elongate, and we need higher and higher prescriptions every year. And this was the standard of care, still really is the standard of care for nearsighted correction. The problem is we're seeing adolescent myopia happen much earlier, where it used to be 11, 12, 13, now we're seeing it at 7, 8, and 9. That's about 4 or 5 years earlier than expected, which allows the eye to stretch and elongate for another 4 or 5 years. The problem that we run into when the eye stretches out like this is that we are at much greater risk for developing retinal detachments, glaucoma, and cataracts. These are potentially blinding conditions that we're putting our youth at risk for by letting their eyes progress. So what is causing this shift in nearsightedness? Why are we seeing so much more of it? We don't really know. The true story behind nearsightedness lies in genetics, of course. We know if mom and dad are nearsighted, we have a much greater risk for being nearsighted ourselves. However, the rate of increase doesn't match up with just genetics. There must be something else going on. There's been some studies that have come out that look at the amount of time spent on digital devices, like I'm doing with you right now, looking at computer use, looking at tablet use. Also studies looking at how much outside play kids are getting. We've seen if we get outside, spend more time outside, less time inside, it slows down the risk of nearsightedness. So in the end, we need to know more. We don't know enough at the moment. However, there are some really neat things going on in the field of eye care that are looking at ways to slow down the progression of nearsightedness and protect our vision. Keep that eye less stretched out and be less risk for those complications. Here at North Shore Eye Health and Wellness, we're doing some really neat things. In the coming months, we'll start to talk about those in more detail. So anyway, hopefully you found this a little interesting today. We'll talk much more about myopia and how to slow it down in the coming months. Hope you have a good month.